My name is Sahar Hashemi and I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship. I started my life actually as a lawyer, but somehow I stumbled across entrepreneurship. I ended up tapping into it without realizing on a trip to New York. It's a long story, but falling in love with skinny lattes was really the catalyst that put me on the journey of an entrepreneur. Trying to bring those American-style coffee bars to the UK. After completing that journey of building Coffee Republic and selling it, I wrote Anyone Could Do It, because I just never realized that we all have a dormant entrepreneur within us that we need to tap into. I built By Women Built, a consumer movement to shine a light of female entrepreneurship in the UK, and that's growing really fast. It was a very small group, and yet they believed in it, and now I have thousands in the community tool we have. And I'm using everything I know about entrepreneurship. I almost feel I've been given a second chance to be able to do it all again, but do it using what I believe. So practicing really what I preach every day. Entrepreneurs come in all shapes and sizes. I've now got front row seats to entrepreneurship through By Women Built. I see 2,500 entrepreneurs. They couldn't be more different than each other. Yet there's something that they've all tapped into, that resilience they have. They've tapped into their resourcefulness. They've tapped into this idea of seeing what's next. A lot of corporations, and I've kind of spoken to, I think, over sort of 500 companies now. And the buzzwords that sort of come out are very much, how can we encourage people to be bold, to be brave? How can we get people to have more vision? How could they think more innovatively? How could they be more resilient? It's just straight out of the entrepreneur's playbook, isn't it? Because that's how entrepreneurs are. Why is it that entrepreneurs bring out all those qualities in them? And why is it that large companies don't? Why does it have to be forced? I think organizations need to realize that their culture is not set in stone. Organizational culture is just muscle memory. It's just how you've been behaving. And you've got control over culture. Companies that are really thriving achieve a balance between, the disciplines they need to run efficiently and not let customers down and not drop the ball. But how can they bring that energy? And it's almost two opposing forces. And the great leader is the one that brings a bit of both and meets somewhere in the middle. Big companies have so much talent, there's so much potential. How do you untap that potential so people are not really frozen in the sort of comfort zone, I suppose you could say? How can we naturally bring it out? I spend a lot of time in corporates seeing why their attitude is so different to entrepreneurs. I always get asked, how can we bring this entrepreneurial energy to our teams? And I really bring it down to 6 commitments, 6 things you've got to commit deeply to and be very vigilant around. The first is around customers, right? And a company that is not obsessed with customers, that's not seeing everything from the customer point of view, working backwards, can possibly have no vision. Your vision can't be, we want more market share. That's not enough of a vision for anyone. But when you go back to customers, the end user, that gives you the why. That gives you the fuel to ignite what you're doing. You will never be able to become your customer if you're too busy. So we go into the second commitment. I will make time in my diary. There's always the busyness comes up. People show me their calendars, chock-a-block, without realizing actually there's a bit of comfort in that. I'm busy, therefore everything is fine. But it's actually busy doing what? Who actually feeds this business is the customer in the outside. Does this diary allow you enough time to spend time in the external world where your customer is? So you're thinking about the customer, you've got to free up time to be out there. There's absolutely no point being out there if your mind is closed. So the commitment, which I really believe in, is I commit to being clueless. And what I mean is that you've just got to have an open mind, because the world around you is changing so much that you've got to go out there with an aggressively open mind to pick up things, to ask questions, to ask stupid questions. And yet so many people in our company, we get stuck in, especially if we're in a leadership position, we feel we need to know all the answers. How could you in this world that's changing so much? And that just so goes against the kind of sort of energy we need. You need to have an open mind to be able to catch what's out there, to be able to see the opportunities, to be able to see the problems. Then comes the next obstacle in big companies. I don't know if this idea is going to work, so I'm just not going to do it. That's where fear comes in. That's where the impossible comes in. We wait until perfection, we wait until it's all right, and that time never comes, and you'll be waiting forever. That energy, that momentum just goes down, and I think ideas are all about momentum, to actually not wait for perfection. is absolutely huge. And that's what we call scrappy. It's about bootstrapping. And I think it's the superpower of that mindset. So when you're out there, when you're trying things out, you get to the fifth commitment, which is I'm not going to wait for fear to go away. Because fear, I think, is huge in large corporations. People often don't see it as such. The main motto I've got around fear is leap and the net will appear. Because I find the scariest place to be actually is when you're at the edge of the cliff and you're thinking about it. The entrepreneurial expression people use is kind of assembling the plane on the way down. That's what I've learned and why I've been able to do it again and again, learning that actually I don't have to think about the whole journey. In a funny way, just as far as your headlights take you, that's enough vision to see. And the sixth commitment is I'll be 100% myself. And it's in a way the gift we get from this new normal, this world of crazy disruption that is forcing us to behave in a different way. Because that's where the opportunity is for us to actually bring a new kind of energy into what we do every day. Why I believe in entrepreneurship so much is that it forces you to the limit where you're forced to use every single tool you've got. You're forced to dig really deep and bring it all out. You've got no comfort zone to fall back on. But that's a great thing, right? Because you can show yourself what you're made of. Every day you're learning, you're stretching yourself out. It's that gift of self-belief you give yourself. And what a price to pay not to see that stardust, right? To live a bit closed in that sort of corporate bureaucratic inertia, scared of change, where actually that change out there is the biggest gift all of us can ever get.